Why questioning faith is not the same as rejecting God. I want to talk to you about something that has silenced a lot of people. It's the idea that questioning faith means you're rejecting God. A lot of people were taught that directly. Others were taught it indirectly, through tone, pressure, or fear. And over time, many people learn to stop thinking out loud. Here's what usually happens. Someone notices a contradiction, or a teaching that doesn't quite line up with Scripture, or an explanation that feels forced. They don't want to be rebellious. They don't want to be disrespectful. They don't want to lose their faith. So they stay quiet. But staying quiet doesn't make questions go away. It just pushes them underground. And that's where faith actually starts to weaken. Not because someone questioned, but because they weren't allowed to. What's important to say right away is this. The Bible does not treat questioning as the enemy of faith. That idea comes from people, not from Scripture. Let me show you one simple example. In the book of Acts, there's a group of people, often referred to as the Bereans. They listened to what they were taught, and then they did something very specific. They checked it. They examined the Scriptures to see whether what they were hearing was actually true. And here's the key point. They weren't criticized for that. They were praised. Not for being skeptical, but for being careful. That tells you something important about how God views examination. Questioning, in the biblical sense, it's not rebellion. It's discernment. It's the difference between I don't believe anything and I want to understand what's actually true. Those aren't the same thing. Another thing people often confuse is faith with blind acceptance. But the Bible doesn't define faith that way. Biblical faith is not believing without reason. It's trusting based on testimony, evidence, and recognition of truth. That's why Scripture consistently appeals to what is seen, what is heard, what is written, what could be examined. Faith grows in the light, not in the dark. Jesus himself, as God's sent Messiah, never discouraged honest questions. What he challenged was pretended certainty. He confronted people who claimed to know truth while refusing to examine themselves. When people ask sincere questions, and even difficult ones, he engaged them. And that tells you something about God's character. The God Jesus consistently spoke about and prayed to. God is not threatened by honest examination. Now, here's where things often go wrong. People start confusing questioning God with questioning human explanations about God, those aren't the same thing. You can trust God and still question how scriptures have been interpreted. You can respect the Bible and still notice that some teachings don't come directly from it. And you can believe and still refuse to accept claims without understanding where they come from. That doesn't make you faithless. It means you care about truth. In fact, Scripture warns against accepting things just because they're confidently stated. It repeatedly calls people to test, examine, and hold fast to what is good. Not everything that claims to represent God actually does. That's not cynicism. That's wisdom. A lot of people were taught that faith means never saying, I don't know. But the Bible never teaches that. There's a difference between humility and suppression. Humility says, I'm willing to learn. And suppression says, I'm afraid to look. Only one of those leads to growth. So if you ever felt tension because you had questions, but were told those questions were dangerous, I want you to hear this clearly. That fear did not come from Scripture. The Bible invites examination. It expects discernment, and it consistently calls people to truth, not to silence. This channel exists to make room for that, not to tear faith down, but to let it stand on something solid. We're going to look at what the Bible actually says. We're going to trace where teachings come from. And we're going to do it calmly, openly, and without pressure. If something is true, it'll hold up. And if something doesn't come from Scripture, it deserves to be examined, not protected. Read the text for yourself. And don't be afraid to examine what you're taught. Truth does not fear examination.